book and a bev. Hello and welcome. We are back this week, your favourite podcast, the only podcast
Absolutely.
ever. Actually, full stop.
There's never been a podcast. We've invented the format.
Yes. If you don't know, I don't know how you wouldn't, a book and a bev, that's where you are. That's who we are. Georgia. Ellie.
We've given them all the information they need to live a successful life.
Exactly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Wow.
So we are covering part numero try of
I think it's
Tower of Dawn.
What language were we going for there?
Well, no, does
I was thinking of thrice, and then I was going
try.
Okay, so yeah, what are we drinking? I am not drinking Duva's unborn fetus
Good.
tonight. I'm drinking just some champagne and orange juice. But it just reminded me of like the Torre, you know, it just reminds me of that vibe, you know, orange sunset, I don't know, desert.
Yeah, I'll take it.
I like it.
I'm still drinking Jack and Coke because the weather can't decide what it's doing here, and it's too hot for me to drink coffee at like 7 o'clock at night. And it is in order of the Vogue that's about to be spit out of Duva.
Oh, but not in that. She's not. Don't go where my mind went. We know what I thought she was spitting out. He's black semen, but it's not.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about the unborn fetus. I definitely didn't think
it was going there. I was like, you're making a spitting joke, like, you know, she didn't swallow it, and you're like, no, black semen specifically.
I thought it was the dead fetus. So.
No, we've moved on. We've moved on. Well, I am drinking air tonight, as in nada, because I have a very important thing tomorrow morning, which I am nervous about, and if I drink or eat anything, I will likely shit myself. So, in saying that, shall we get into it?
Let's dive on in.
Okay. So, we've just left Nezran, Satak and Kadara about to be devoured by giant fuck-off spiders. But we are not resuming with them, no. We're resuming with Chaol, our favourite boring man. Here we are. So, he and Irene are getting ready to go to the Oasis, which is apparently just like this...
It's an Endota spa on a cemetery.
Yes. In the desert. That's a very good way of describing it. So the royals are like, okay, like, yeah, we'll throw this birthday party for you, Irene. No worries. Chaol, you can come too. Here's your horse. Its nickname is like the death god's horse because it's quite fucked. So enjoy that with your no legs. Off you go.
Well, its nickname is also Butterfly.
Yeah, its actual name is Farasha, which is butterfly, but he calls it the devil's horse because this horse is a fucking asshole, which makes it even better that it's called Butterfly.
Butterfly.
It's a right fucking cunt and we love it.
They're riding off into the sunset. It's beautiful, and they finally get a break because remember, we're in the desert. It's hot. It's likely hotter than it is. Bryony would still not be able to drink coffee.
Absolutely not. I'd actually already be shitting myself because I'm not capable of dealing with warm climates. So
okay, there's a lot of things that make Bryony shit herself. I have to start keeping like a list. Spicy food, dairy, hot weather.
Warm climate.
So we're riding along. We have a little break to feed our horses. And Chaol's just looking around at the barren red dirt. And he's like, yeah, I love this. I love deserts. And it's like, you're weird. You're very odd. What is happening up in that brain? Not much. Not much if that's what you think. Yeah, deserts tickle my fancy. Never thought they would.
He's literally like, I've never seen sand before and I've never been so turned on.
We leave that because Irene's also like, yeah, I love deserts too. Oh my God, they've got things in common. Wow. If Dorian was there, he'd be like, okay, this is a match made in heaven.
Too.
I love sand. Can we be a throuple?
We're just a throuple.
Soulmates for life.
Sandy throuple.
No,
so
there's only one,
if you will.
So much exfoliating.
A sandy couple, a supple.
I'm not ever going to talk about it. I'm not.
There's so many jokes that I made in the last one where you guys did that. You were both like, we're just going to ignore Georgia now because she's fucked. We're just going to keep going. And I'm like, ah.
Look, you're not wrong. Sand, crevices, thruples, we like deserts. Okay, we're here. So they keep going. They get to near where they're going to set up camp at the fancy Endota spa, and Chaol notices that the ground is now flat because he's very observant, and he says, hello, would you like to race me? Because that's how he flirts.
He's actually Vin Diesel. He's Like, Too Fast, Too Furious, family.
Fast and the Furious, what? Is it fucking like 18?
No doubt.
Fast and the Furious,
In the
Tower of
desert.
Dawn.
Oh, okay. So they do just that. They have a little gallop and a little bit of a race on the desert that they both love. And they race to the camp, and we get a couple of quotes here, okay? Irene's hair rose and fell behind her in a golden brown tangle of curls, lifting with each thunderous pound of her mare's legs on the hard sand. Oh, what a description. Thunderous pound. If it was a different type of pound, I'd be all here for it, but I'm not sure if Chaol could do a thunderous one. It would more so be like a feeble flick
An awkward slide.
than a thunderous. Pretty much, because remember, he's immobile. That's okay. White clothes are streaming in the wind. The gold and silver sparkled like stars, and her face. Chaol couldn't breathe as he beheld the wild joy on Irene's face, the unchecked exhilaration. Because again, they both love sand. It's just so thrilling. We have another
wants
quote.
to get out, just run around in that sand, just play around, throw it up in the air.
Really
Roll
needs
around
to
in it.
exfoliate.
They're just having the time of their life. All right, we have another quote. Irene was smiling and then she was laughing as if she could not contain it inside her. Chaol thought it was the most beautiful sound he had ever heard, and that this moment, flying together over the sands, devouring the desert wind, her hair a golden brown banner behind her. So we were tangled and now we're a banner. Chaol felt, perhaps for the first time, as if he was awake, and he was grateful right down to his very bones for it. And I'm fairly sure, correct me if I'm wrong, he used a very similar way to describe how he felt when he was with Selena, that now he feels like he's awake.
He's a bit repetitive.
Yeah,
Chaol.
yes. But I really, really did like this. It was quite nice.
Yeah, I'm a big Chaol and Irene shipper, so I'm fine with it.
Yeah, look, if you like sand, go off. That's fine.
Basically, they arrive to the oasis, and it's very, very glamorous. Again, endo-spa gentrification on a cemetery. Irene gives Chaol a massage because he's a sore baby. And afterwards, they go out to, like, seek the others. But find them all, like, bathing together in this communal pool. And it's, like, a bit steamy. And they decide that's actually a bit too much right now, so we're going to go for a walk instead. While they're walking, Chaol opens up to Irene about Ress and Brullo and the guards who never gave the king anything on him, even after weeks of torture at Dorian's hands, might we add. Irene doesn't say anything except for that he can't blame himself, and he then closes back up like a clam and pushes her away. They walk
just like a clam.
like a clam. He's like, actually, no. No feelings.
Snaps fingers.
Yeah. They walk towards these like ancient ruins and find engraved on the pillars Fey warriors and Vogue fighting the First War. They believe that this is a Fey warrior burial ground. They believe that this cemetery holds a secret to possibly defeating the Vogue, and that the reason it's hidden here is because the healers are heavily guarded. And there's only one other place where healers are so heavily guarded, and that's the healers in Doronel protected by Maeve. They decide that there is no time to waste, and that if they can find someone to translate the scroll they have, then maybe that will provide the information they need. Chaol is going to send word to Nesrin when they get back, like they're running out of time, they've got to accelerate all the plans, stop fucking Sartak in the forest, and I'll stop fucking Irene in the desert. They sit through a dinner with the royals, and Hussar gives like a really cute speech and thanks Irene for being such a good friend, even though she's a pain. And Irene thinks she somehow reminds her slightly of the woman she met in Inish all those years ago.
Well, what a winky dink. As they chat, war talk obviously comes about, and Hussar says that Aelin should come and marry one of her brothers if she needs aid in the war. And Kayla's like, nah, that ain't gonna happen. Apparently the royals haven't heard of Aelin and Rowan's relationship, and they're all really shook by the news. And he explains to them what she did with Maeve and the blood oath, and they're like, so she's batshit fucking crazy.
Yes, only in the best way.
Yeah, but Chaol's like, no, she's smart and she loves him. And we get this quote. If it is a love match, then they risk knowing their enemies will go after him to punish her. What's his name? Argan? Argan oil.
He's beautiful for your hair.
Argan smiled as if to say he was already thinking of doing so. Chaol snorted and the prince straightened. Good luck to anyone who tries to go after Rowan Whitethorn, because Aelin will burn them to ash, Hussar asked with poisoned sweetness. But it was Cashin who answered softly, Because Rowan Whitethorn will always be the person who walks away from that encounter, not the assailant.
You're
It's
not
so
wrong.
good.
Why
It's
is that so
good.
hot?
Why is it so hot? It is just, Again, shout out to our main squeeze, Rowan Whitethorn, for absolutely terrifying people left, right, and centre.
It's what
He
we
can
want.
terrify my vagina.
It's already scared. It's quaking.
So then the general chit-chat goes on to Irene and her marrying Cashin. Cashew nut. Chaol is like, get absolutely fucked. And Cashin is like, oh, what do you mean? Why do you think that I should not marry this woman? The tension is high. Things are escalating. But then Irene is like, why should I have to make such a choice right now on my birthday? And everyone's like, you know what? The woman makes sense. Tension evaporates. She decides that this is the time for her now to get drunk because she's like, they're bidding for my hand in marriage. There's only one real solution for this. Let's get piss-faced drunk. As they're getting up to leave, Irene is... She's gotten the job done. She's pretty drunk. And there are now some snide comments made by Hussar. And Irene is like, you know what? I've had enough of you, you fucking cunt. And pushes her into the pool. And it is everything I need in that moment because I have needed someone to put that bitch in her place the whole book. Beautiful.
Absolutely.
And I am so glad that it was Irene.
Same.
Yes.
But obviously, the moment is terrifying. Everyone's stressed. Chaol automatically pulls Irene behind him and, like, partially draws his sword. And we don't mean his half-erect boner.
His third leg.
The third leg.
The pogo.
The pogo stick. When Hussar emerges from the pool, she, like, points at Irene and is, like, very, very angry. And everyone's like, oh, God. But then Hussar's lover, Raina, just starts cackling, full-on dying of laughter. And then Cashin starts laughing, and everyone starts laughing. And when Hussar goes to get out of the pool, she says to Irene, I was wondering when you'd grow a backbone. And it's like, oh, close call, guys, but we made it through.
Call, Irene. Jesus fucking Christ.
Seriously. Hussar walks away and Irene is like, okay, time for bed before she changes her mind. Irene and Chaol go to her tent and they're pacing around when Chaol is like, that was the best thing I've ever fucking seen. And I have seen Dorian do a lot of things with his mouth.
Oh.
Yeah, look, I'm just fully here for them fucking, but it's never going to happen. It's fine. Irene asks if Aelin has a fine temper too. And he says yes, but she would have loved the sight of Hussar falling into the pool. Irene, asks him if it bothers him that Aelin will likely marry Prince Rowan. And we get this interchange, which is a fuck ton long quote, but you're gonna get it because I need it. Aelin was very important to me. She still is, though in a different way. And for a while, it was not easy to change the dreams I'd planned for my future, especially the dreams with her. Irene angled her head, the lantern light dancing in her soft curls. Why? Because when I met Aelin, when I fell in love with her, she went by another name, another title and identity, and things between us fell apart before I knew the truth, but I think I knew. When I learned she was truly Aelin, I knew that between her and Dorian, you would never leave Ardlin or him. He fiddled with the cane beside him, running his hands over the smooth wood. She knew it too, I think, long before I did, but she left at one point. It's a long story, but she went off to Wendelin alone, and that was where she met Prince Rowan. And out of respect for me, because we had not truly ended it, she waited. For him. They both did, and when she came back to Rifthold, it ended. Between us, I mean. Officially, badly. I handled it badly, and she did too, and we made our peace before we parted ways months ago, and they left together, as it should be. They are, if you ever meet them, you'll get it. Like Hussar, she isn't an easy person to be with, to understand. Aelin frightens everyone, but not him. I think that's why she fell in love with him, against her best intentions. Rowan beheld all Aelin was and is, and he was not afraid.
Oh, okay. A couple things to out.
Couple
Yeah.
things.
Okay.
Circle back.
One, you acted like a fucking cunt. Aelin was pretty fucking good, all right?
She was pretty
And
reasonable, all things considered.
Yes. And two, that ending, he was not afraid.
He was not afraid.
It's just reverting back to Sam's quote, and it just makes me want to fucking kill myself.
Yeah, and I did really love, as much as Chaol is also having some questionable moments within that quote, there is a lot. He's acknowledging, we were all saying, that he was not meant for Aelin or Selena, because Selena was always Aelin. They were never going to work. And he was denying that, but he knows.
Hear me out. He's crafted the perfect PR apology. He's said what we needed him to say, and yet he has not accepted any responsibility for it himself. He's like, yes, I made
PR apology.
He's like, how can I spin this in a way that I accept like a portion of blame for my actions, but I frame it in a way where you can clearly see that I, in fact, am the victim, because she also was mean and she's scary.
It is a pretty good PR apology. I'm not gonna...
Yeah, I fell for it. I'm into it. I've forgiven.
So Irene asks if he loves Aelin. He says no, nor does he love Nesrin. Then he walks towards her and hands her her birthday present. It's a small locket. Engraved on it is her initials and then a picture of mountains and seas. And Chaol says this quote, "So you never forget that you climbed over them and crossed them, that you, only you, got yourself here."
It's just so
Beautiful,
lovely.
really. But Irene is obviously shook, and she hasn't had a birthday present since she was 11, and he got it so that she could keep whatever is in her dress that she keeps fiddling with inside the locket, you know, so that she can keep it with her at all times. She's actually just playing with herself.
I was about to say, she's not fiddling with anything but herself. He's just that sexy that she's like staring at him, making eye contact, talking to him, playing with herself. I'm going to get that
just
bowed
say that
down
a little
now.
bit slower.
Thanks.
Hang on,
And then
Chaol,
silence. Oh, okay, keep going.
she goes, turn around and let me see your back, please. Actually, no, take your pants off. I want to see those knobbly knees with no muscles.
The knobbly knee.
Give me a sock, give me a shoe.
Sniff
yeah.
the snock.
Anyway, he says that she can keep whatever it is that she's fiddling with. It's not her fanny. It's a little piece of paper that's got that little note on it. He wants her to keep it with her, you know. Irene comes to him after that and she says this. "I'm glad," she whispered, "that you do not love that queen or Nesrin. I am glad that I do not love them either." Irene towers. And then they kiss. Oh,
I love it.
Things are now, oh, look, Ellie has got the sex scene today. Oh, how the
Shocking twist of
turntables
events.
have turned. Things are getting hot and they're on the bed and they're touching things, and then Urane. I'm the first one to do it.
Yay!
Irene!
Irene is not one for games because she's just like, you know what, Chaol, lay back. Let me yank on your dick. So she grabs the peen, the pogo stick, the third leg, and she's just whacking him off. No care in the world. She's just going for it. And he's like, whoa, this is a bit much. But she's like, I want this. I want you and your mangled body. And he's like, interesting.
God, your mangled body.
Yeah, it's mine. That's because remember, she's just been playing with herself the whole time. It's her kink. We have some quotes as they prepare for the fucking strap in. Chaol held Irene's stare as he stilled, letting her adjust, which is nice, you know.
He's obviously just so well hung.
He is. He's a thick peen.
Thick peen. Okay.
He's letting himself adjust to the sensation. So he's looking into those eyes of hers swimming with brightness, and he wondered if she felt that too. And she says, yeah, that kind of hurt. I know.
There wasn't enough lube.
Yeah, she's like, oh, fuck, ow.
Surprise, I was actually a virgin.
Wow. This isn't going to be great for either of us.
No.
You've got like that PTSD from your ex, like stabbing and gutting that guy. There's blood.
There's blood on your dick. Trigger warning. Remember when you saw
on
the
your dick.
the heads of your men impaled on the gates of the... It's like
That's what my vagina looks like right now.
yeah, my vagina is impaled on your penis and it's bleeding. It's like Russo's head is on your dick.
God.
How did we end? No, I don't think. No.
It's better we don't ask questions and just
Don't
answer
ask
questions. So then he's like, okay, carry on. And Irene kisses him again in answer and silent demand. As Chaol began to move in her, he realised that here amongst the dunes, Bryony's like riding a horse right now. She's doing a visual of Chaol because remember he can't feel his lower body. So he's just trying to get that momentum up. Okay, hang on. We're nearly there. So, yes, we're looking among the dunes because remember we like sand and stars. And here in the heart of a foreign land, here with her, he was home. Which, no, because SJM, you've just recycled that line from Crown of Midnight because that is exactly what Selena said about Chaol. And you can't be doing this. You can't be doing this.
I think it's fitting because, like, Selena and Chaol were like, to Selena, Chaol felt like the first lot of safety that she had.
Yeah.
You know? And I feel like Chaol hasn't had that person to be, like, his safety, if that makes sense. But
no,
he feels
because Dorian
like...
doesn't use protection, so he's not safe.
He's just getting come on all the time. He's like, oh my God, I can wash my sheets
such a cream pie.
So, okay, well, that makes sense. I prefer
Yeah.
that over lazy
Yeah.
writing. I like that.
I really, 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 really like Irene. I really love Irene. And I love
Come on,
her
Irene.
and Chaol's story.
Literally.
Yeah, come on her.
Do it.
But
no, Chaol
really-
decides to come
yeah.
in her instead, and we all know how that ends.
Yeah, the fuckwit.
fuck with.
Irene and Chaol have been making love all night long, and Irene tells him about the stranger in Inish, and Chaol doesn't know who that is, but obviously we do, and it's fantastic. And Irene keeps the note in her pocket from this stranger and decides to put that in the locket. And Chaol says that whoever that person was, God, woman, or girl, he is forever grateful.
Well, you just fucking wait, Chaol.
You just fucking wait, Chaol. Then we're back with my favourite couple in this entire book, Nesrin and Sartak. And unfortunately, they are not having the same twist of events that Chaol and Irene are. No, they're running for their lives from some fuck-off giant spiders.
Yikes.
Not a fun time. They're trying to slip through these passages in this mountain range, but Sartak gets stuck. They
Because
try
he's
to...
just so huge.
His dick is so huge. That's what's actually holding him back.
He
needs
just like,
to be-
he won't stop.
He needs to be less well endowed. They try to pull a quick one on Sartak so he can just wank and get off, but nope, he's stuck. And Sartak tells Nesrin to run, but she won't leave him. And now it's funny, but it's not, guys.
I'm sorry. Now I'm just picturing them wanking him quickly in the cave. She'd be like, hurry up.
He's like, it's really hard to focus. The atmosphere's not right. I don't know if my
She's like
music...
making like whale noises or something. She's like, how can I calm you down?
Whale noises.
Wow! It's actually just...
Owen Wilson doing whale noises, but to wow. Wow. Wow.
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Okay. We get this.
Wow.
Okay, put it together. All right. The quote we get that is really sad, guys. It's really sad. His dark eyes met hers. There was no fear in them. Sartak said to her, clear and steady, I heard the spies' stories of you, the fearless Balveruni woman in Ardalan's empire, Neith's arrow, and I knew. Nesrin sobbed, tugging and tugging. Sartak smiled at her, gently, sweetly, in a way she had not yet seen. I loved you before I ever set eyes on you, he said. Please, Nesrin wept. Sartak's hand tightened on hers. I wish we'd had time.
Oh.
That is just a lot.
Also, you've known each other for 3 weeks. The L-bomb's a bit quick.
Fuck off. No. I'll
Sorry.
take it.
He loved her from before he met her, Ellie.
You can't.
No,
Unless-
man. I love Rowan, and I've never met him. Not.
Sartak is torn from Nesrin's arms like he was never even there to begin with. Nesrin is running to try and get help, and then she realises that that's not actually possible because she's stuck in the mountains. And she realises that the spiders will take them both back to their lair alive before feasting on them. So she decides to stop running and whispers to Falcon in her pocket that she has a plan. Nick Min, the spiders take her.
Wow. I love that Falcon the mouse has just been in her pocket the whole time. For that whole ordeal, he's like, guys, this is getting weird.
Nesrin wakes up in the lair of the spiders. Falcon is trying to bite through the webbing, which is like, she's like tied up with the webbing. The spider approaches and Nesrin makes up some like, story about how she's just been like, sniffing around and that, she wants to trade. And the spider's like, no, we don't trade with mortals. We wait. And Nesrin's like, for what, dude? Like, what are you waiting for? You've been here for a hot fucking minute. Not sure. Don't think they're coming. We get this quote. She squinted, straining to make out who stood there. Who do you wait for? Hoolan said that the Valg had once passed through here. The spider brushed aside the dirt crusted over the figure, revealing long, flowing hair etched there, and what she'd thought to be a cloak. It was a dress. Our queen, the spider said. We wait for her dark majesty to return at last. Not Erewhon? Servants to a dark crown, Hoolan said. The spider spat, the venom landing near Sartak's covered feet. Not him. Never him. Then who? We wait for the queen of the Valg, the spider purred, rubbing against the carving, who in this world calls herself Maeve.
Whoa.
Oh, shit. Drop that fucking bombshell.
Because already it's a lot. That spider's just been rubbing up on that pillar for like the last 5 minutes, getting herself off, and poor Nesrin's tied there having to watch. But then she drops that bombshell, so that's a lot.
Yeah, look, I kind of knew something was off with Maeve. It was more than just like, because she was keeping the healers. We already had learnt that, and I was a bit like, something's a bit funky with you, my friend. And also that like the two other Fae sisters were dead. I was like, how are you still here? And like Brannan's dead, but he was younger than you. Like the dots weren't aligning for me. So we continue on. So Nesrin basically asks for the spider to tell the story of Maeve, the Valg queen, before she dies. And the spider's like, okay, twist my arm, twist one of my 8 arms. I'll do you a favor. There's about 17,000 giant quotes here, but I'm going to do my best English studies student and summarize.
Beautiful.
So here we go. Basically, a long fucking time ago, there was a really dark, cold place, aka hell, which was ruled by 3 kings, Dumb, Dumb, and Dumber. Dumber being Erewhon. They were brothers. The world had not always been ruled that way because, again, it was probably ruled by a woman and the men just tried to piss all over it. So now they're in charge. They decided to wage a mighty war, a war to end all wars because white men. And all of those kings conquered it. So fantastic. They turned it into a wasteland. Again, white men. A paradise for those who had dwelled in darkness. Again, men. For 1,000 years they ruled, equal in power, yada, yada, yada. They had sons and daughters. They basically turned into like a hybrid of Elon Musk and Nick Cannon. They're just out there repopulating the world, just impregnating all the people, all the Fae, all of the other demons, just so they can have this like dominion of sons and daughters raise up and wipe them all out. It's fantastic times. Cool. They've also overtaken Twitter. So then Maeve rises up as a queen. She would be like the Taylor Swift, okay? Hear me out. Evil Taylor Swift. She has risen with a dark song in the world because she sings. And there's like wondrous things that she can do with her power. She can take on the bad motherfuckers of the world. You see? So hear me out. We have Elon Musk, Nick Cannon, Taylor Swift, and we're all in hell. And there's also another brother, but I haven't quite figured out who I want him to be
It's
yet.
Andrew Tate.
Oh, I was going to say Hitler, but Andrew Tate probably lands more. Just pick a bland white man and Donald Trump. Perfect. So then all of those kings, they looked. No, one of them needs to be Kanye West. Sorry.
Okay, let's
how
reframe.
could I forget?
Are we wanting to be really toxic or just annoying?
Toxic, because we're from hell.
Okay. Kanye, Andrew Tate, Vladimir Putin.
The trilogy.
Trilogy.
They're a trilogy cheese up against T Swift, but with dark hair.
Go.
So Kanye,
Andrew Tate,
Vladimir Putin.
and Vladimir
and Putin. Pooty. Okay. Apologies. Pooty pooties.
Anyway,
Okay.
this is taking longer than the actual fucking quote.
Yeah. Okay, right. So we've got 3 bland men. We've got 1 queen who's risen up, and they're all like, oh, I know, let's all just try and make her our wife, and therefore she can't rule against us. Great plan. So then the eldest one, let's just say, for argument's sake, Andrew Tate, he's like, I will bed you and wed you. And Maeve was like, yeah, okay, cool, no worries. But then they they came together. Unioned is not a word. They did not form a union in this time. No, they just got married. And Maeve like a lot of women, was like, you know what? I kind of now see through your shit. You're
I kinda hate you now.
boring. Yeah. So she spends long, long hours looking at books and riddles and exploring the world.
All right. So Ellie's had to quickly pop off right in the middle of her beautiful, what she was saying here. So basically, to summarize, yes, the eldest Val King ends up marrying Maeve, happy, whatever. She ends up doing a lot of research in his library, finds there's ways to open portals to other worlds. And like all these different realms, she can just basically pop and hop and twist and dip and arrive somewhere else.
The whole
it's amazing.
bop it, pop it.
She's the world walker. It's big yikes. The spider goes on to explain that Maeve got bored and left through a gate and took the spiders with her as her handmaidens because she was like, if I'm going, I need some peasants to take with me. She's gonna need a handmaidens, you know. Even though she's just basically been like, she's gotten there, she's gone, actually, you guys stay far fucking away from me.
I promise I'll come back.
Keep.
You guys are my best friends. I'll come back, but actually I'm going to go sit on the cool girls table.
When Erewhon and his brothers came searching, she had already gotten into Mab and Mora's minds and made them believe that they had a third sister and basically everyone else's fae mind also to make everyone else believe that she was the third sister. Maeve was hidden as a fae when the brothers came to get her back. She stole the keys and then Brannon basically stole them from her. And no one knows Maeve's origin, but she, like all Valg, greatly fear Brannon's fire.
Just as the spider is about to kill Nesrin, another spider comes in and is like, yo, there's some feathery chickens gathering up a host, like out there. It's just a KFC big bucket. We should probably deal with all these chickens. The largest spider is like, for fuck's sake, these hoons out in my street with their Suzuki Swifts are just taking up so much space. You guard these two. I'll go get the chickens. Little does she know that the other spider is Falcon in disguise. Falcon helps Nesrin escape and they run. Nesrin and Sartak put their heads together to get the fuck out of this lair, and they end up using Sartak's hair, a flint, and pieces of Nesrin's shirt to light her arrows on fire.
It's a whole Indiana Jones.
I'm so proud of them for their resourcefulness. They were like, Bear Grylls, eat your heart out. I don't even have to piss. Falcon is going to hold the spiders back, and he says to her that he has a request for her before they leave, and it's like, mate, now is not the time, but we get this. When I was 7, my older brother sired a bastard daughter of a poor woman in Rifthold, abandoned them both. It has been 20 years since then, and from when I was old enough to go to the city to begin my trade, I looked for her. Found the mother after some years on a deathbed. She could barely talk long enough to say she'd kicked the girl out. She did not know where my niece was, didn't care. She died before she could give me a name. If she survived, if she is grown, she might have the shifter gift too. But it doesn't matter if she does or does not. What matters is she is my family. All I have left, and I have looked for her for a very long time. Find her. My fortune, all of it is for her, and I may have failed her in this life, but not in my death. AKA, Falcon is Lyssandra's uncle!
Oh my god.
Sartak and Nesrin run. They don't notice a spider coming up behind them until it hits Sartak. Nesrin stands between the two of them, ready to fight, but before it can make a move to kill them, Vorte is there.
Vorte and Yiren both arrive with a legion of rooks. A rook sweeps in and picks up Sartak and Nesrin, while Vorte and Yiren fight through the spider forces. Kodara is behind them, guarding their assholes.
And like, there will be no anal penetration here, thank you very much.
And Vorte and the gang light up the forest in flame. Love it.
They're like, bushfire season is on.
Yeah, fuck it up. Light it up, if you will. Sartak looks at Nesrin and slightly smiles, and she smiles back because they now have time. When Irene and Chaol set off the next morning and arrive back at the palace, Chaol goes to help Irene off her horse, but she's like, don't you fucking touch me. Okay?
There was actually just a one-night stand. Quite over you now, actually.
I hate you.
No, it's not like that. She's just like, you're hurt. Like, you don't need to do this. But when she gets down, he kisses her on her temple, and the guards who he is friends with are all grinning. And, you know, because it's like, oh my God.
They're like, oh my God.
But it's not so cute. When they enter the palace, some weird vibes are on. They rush to Chaol's room and find that both his and Nesrin's rooms have been absolutely trashed. Whoever it was stole everything except for the scroll in the boot. There's a snake in my boot, but it's actually a scroll. It's actually a Vegemite and cheese scroll.
Oh, I love a Vegemite
Why?
and cheese scroll.
Why?
I'm actually quite a fan of the spinach and
Why
ricotta
not, Ellie?
scroll.
Why not? Anyway, they didn't steal the Vegemite scroll. Irene is like, you should come and stay at the Torre with me. And Kayla's like, I just told Nesrin to rush home. Like, I can't just leave her here. And then Irene is like,
every
well,
other way that matters. But
yeah, literally abandoned her in every other way, but fuck it up. And Irene is pretty pissed off. She's like, well, fuck you. I'm going on my own then. Catch you later.
Irene then goes back to the Torre. She goes to Hafiza's office and the healer is like, so the Lord gave you his heart. And it's like, oh, you sneaky little bitch. You set this up.
He
sneaky
gave me
bitch.
his third fucking leg.
She's
Pogo
like,
stick. He actually unharnessed the pogo stick and just gave it to her.
And then she pulls out the sock of the shoe and she's like, and I stole these.
And I did. I impaled his dick like his guard's head impaled that fence.
My God. That took such a turn.
Yeah. Okay. So Irene's all flustered by this because why not? And then proceeds to close all the doors and all the windows. And she explains that she and Chaol believe that the healers were placed here for a greater purpose. She says to Hafiza, I'm special. And Hafiza's like, cool. So she gives her an iron key from around her neck and opens an iron door, and it has books filled with word marks inside, which we know who
Just
likes
like
word
more
marks.
iron inside.
We take an iron key to unlock an iron door to go into an iron room filled with iron books.
And some iron supplements. We have no
Yes,
anemics in this Torre.
We do not. We do not. So then she doesn't know how to read the books. She knows how to read in general, but word marks. So Irene asks if she can bring the books to Aylin, and Hafiza's like, I shall think about it. I'm also not sure what Hafiza thought was going to happen. She's like, I know your abilities. I know you can't read what these word marks are, but I'm going to show you them.
I'm going to show you.
And then
Show you what could have been if you were better. Be better.
Exactly right. It's
Be
just a little
better,
tease.
Irene.
You thought you were special? Psych! You can't read this, can you?
Irene decides to go back to the womb to think about everything. And again, womb, not as in her dead mother's womb, but as in the bath time place. We forget to mention earlier
She
that the
crawls
womb-
back into her dead mother's womb. Okay.
Shocking twist of events. She's actually kept her body this entire time.
Just in case she needs
Just
to.
in case. Anyways, in previous episodes, we have mentioned that the womb has like big blackness ceiling vibes, but also has walls covered with bells and names of all previous healers. Irene feels this urge and goes into the room, goes deeper and flicks a bell and follows the sound throughout, like of that bell, throughout the tunnels until she gets to this one corner where it falls silent. And there she reads a name on a bell, Jaffa Towers. Not Jaffa
Jaffa.
Slice.
Yeah. Well, it's like,
It's her ancestor. And she decides that she has to go where she fears to tread, as she's been told to do, and has to fight what's both in herself and help Chaol face his own darkness in order to beat it. Irene then appears in Chaol's rooms, and he's in so much pain because the dickhead, you know when you've got a muscle pain, like you've been working out, you've got a sports injury, you don't put a hot pack on it, you put an ice pack. And that fucker went and had a boiling hot bath after overexerting himself by fucking with that pogo stick, and now he can barely move.
Silly.
Twist of events. Irene is like, it crept back up, that's not good. She's decided she's going in raw. Absolutely no lube, no oil, just right
no
on
socks.
in there. No socks.
No socks.
She tells him that
She's taking her socks off.
she's like,
And
not
his.
today, Satan. No fungal infections here. Irene tells Chaol that she's going in and ending it today. And Chaol realises that with everything she's been through, he could also face his mild trauma, which is in fact correct. Irene then goes in raw and throws everything she's got at it and fights the darkness back.
Throws everything she's got in that raw dog and
She
fuck.
just,
Endless notes, basically, on this whole next scene, which is basically Chaol is letting all of his negative energy feed the Valg presence that is still inside him, and it in turn twists him. And we get so many quotes, so just brace yourself. First one we get is, everything he had done, Aylin had come to rip it apart. starting with his honour. And so, like, first off, with this whole, like, traumatic headspace thing he's in, he's still trying to blame Aelin for all of his problems, but that doesn't last.
Yeah, so he ends up imagining Aelin and Rowan. So we get this huge fuck off magic, this magic carpet ride of
It
quotes.
is magic.
Fire and ice, an end and a beginning. They did not touch each other. They only sat on that chase, some unspoken conversation passing between them, as if they had finally found some reflection of themselves in the world. You remind me of how the world ought to be, what the world can be. Lies. The words of a girl who had been grateful to him for offering her freedom, for pushing and pushing her until she was roaring at the world again. A girl who had stopped existing the night they'd found that body on the bed. He saw the Fey Prince gently, reverently take Aelin's hand, turning it over, exposing her wrist to the sun, exposing the faint marks of shackles. He saw Rowan rub a thumb over those scars, saw the fire in Aelin's eyes bank. Over and over, Rowan brushed those scars with his thumb, and Aelin's mask slid off. There was fire in that face, and rage and cunning, but also sorrow, fear, despair, guilt, shame, pride, and hope, and love. The weight of a burden she had run from, but now she had fallen in love with someone else, had wanted someone else as badly as he wanted Irene, and yet it was Aelin, godless and irreverent, who had honoured him more than he'd honoured Nesrin. Shame pressed on him, sickening and oily. He had called her a monster for her power, her actions, and yet he did not blame her. He understood that perhaps she had promised things, but she had changed. She had changed. The path had changed. He understood. He'd promised Nesrin, or had implied it, and when he had changed, when the path had altered, when Irene appeared down it, he understood.
Oh,
I just think that was like a
journey.
beautiful, beautiful moment for them. Like for him to realize that she really didn't do that fucking bad. Like he was making her out to be some disgusting monster who did these terrible, horrible things, but he's realizing that she did everything for a reason. Everything was so fucked for her. Like she fought for where she had to be, and he's realizing that.
I loved this whole scene where Chaol is finally facing everything, and he's got his blinders off, because until now, the reason he's been an asshole to everyone, especially Aelin, is because if he's not to them, he has to face his own faults and failures, and he's been too much of a coward to do that, which we've all been there before, where you're like, instead of me actually owning my shit, I'm just gonna blame you. Or at least I have.
Oh, yeah. It's a skill. But, no, I'm glad he's recognizing it, and I'm glad he's being like, oh, wait, she did actually wait for me and, respected my boundaries, and I didn't really do that with Nesrin, did I? Oops. No, you did not, sir.
Slipped and fell and put my pain in Irene.
I did. Pain in Irene.
Oh, pain in Irene.
Okay, so next he faces off with Dorian. Hello. This is what dreams are made
Hello,
of.
boyfriend, darling.
The fact that he left him in that marble-floored room with the blood everywhere, so not like a romantic union, it's a side union.
Damn it.
And also that Dorian had to torture Ress and Brulo. I called him Russo earlier. I merged them into one.
Yeah.
You did. It's their couple name.
It is, if you will. There you go. So he keeps thinking everything is his fault over and over. The fact that the headless hoe happened and that he ran away and Dorian had to face his daddy with the collar
and Richard.
Guards. Yeah, all his fault. And then he thinks he could live in this darkness. And it's like, come on, we've come so far. And then we have a quote. He had not healed. Unmoored and raging, he had not wanted to heal. Not really. His body, yes, but even that, some part of him had whispered it was deserved, which is not good. You've got some issues you need to unpack, so let's do that for you, sir. He's remembering a little promise, a promise to come back to fight for his kingdom. He tells Dorian that he will come home.
On his back.
Tell me where and when. I'll make it happen. Dorian vanishes, and then it's Irene. And Irene is like, this darkness is yours to mold, like Play-Doh. And he's like, but it doesn't taste very good. It won't never go away. And she's like, you need to warm, damp hands, mold it to what you need it to be.
Damp hands.
Damp hands. And then we get a quote. If you love yourself as much as I love you, which again, it's been 3 weeks, but sure.
It's been longer because Nesrin was away with Sartak for a further 3 weeks.
Okay, so
longer.
At most 6 weeks.
No, because they were there together for like a week or like a few days before
It's been 45
they left.
days. 45 days.
I'll take 40.
About 7 weeks.
Sure, why not? So Chaol, he's powered up now. This woman loves me. I no longer have darkness in my soul. I have to do the notes justice. The notes are time to fight. Let's go Power Rangers.
Thank you.
Go,
Shout
Power
out to
Rangers!
the original Green Power Ranger that died today.
Oh yeah. Shit.
Rest
Poor
in
bastard.
peace.
Oh, okay.
We get this beautiful moment. Chaol opens his eyes and moves his legs. The scar is still there, smaller, but Irene doesn't feel anything when she touches it now. Chaol grabs her and they kiss, but he somehow doesn't notice that he is also covered in bobbit, so that's a bit gross.
Ew.
They bathe together and fuck multiple times, which we love to see. Chaol is then like, wait, you said you love me. And we get this moment, which is, then it's a good thing, Irene Towers, that I love you as well. Beautiful. We love it.
Yay.
45 days later.
Fuck off.
Stop it, Ellie!
Chaol is like, whatever you want to do, I'll be there by your side. There's a place for you on my ship by my side. And she's like, what will I be doing by your side? Just sucking your dick every day? We don't have time for that. There's a water fight.
A water fight?
A water fight.
They've
War
got
2
water
fight.
fight.
Not like a water fight.
They've got the pistols, the bombs. Yeah, ready. Everyone's in their little
Water fight.
speedos.
I want to come. No, a War 2 fight. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
A water fight. Where's my invite?
Now I'm just stuck because now I'm just picturing Rowan, Lorcan and Fenris in their little speedos.
swimwear.
A budgie smuggler, if you will.
Okay, so we've got the Bat Boys doing a snowball fight, and now we've got the Beach Boys
The
in
Beach
their
Boys.
speedos doing
Oh.
a water fight.
Say less.
And they're the Beach Boys because of that really traumatic scene on the beach.
That one really traumatic scene on the beach. Yeah.
And that one good time on the beach.
Rowan's speedos are actually made of the bloody shirt of Aelin. Oh no.
Oh my gosh!
I thought you were going to say of like a turtle shell, and I was like, that's bad. But the bloody shirt of Aelin, okay.
Okay, so Nesrin and Sartak get back to the Eyrie, and Vorte and Yeren are there, and Sartak is like, how did you manage to come?
With my fingers, actually.
Anyway, so Vorte apparently went to Yeren and was like, well, I'm going on a dangerous mission, and you can either let me die or follow. So he followed, which is great.
That's romance.
We all need a man that will do that. Falcon is alive and Sartak is still injured, but he's like, you saved me to Nesrin. And she's like, well, I couldn't just let you die. That's not like a good way to go. And like her and Sartak end up like having this moment, and she like starts to tear up, and then Sartak kisses her tears. And I die. It's beautiful. And he says not to cry because what would they all say about Neith's arrow then? And I love it.
Nesrin and Sartak sleep next to each other. They don't kiss or fuck again.
Why?
Well, they don't fuck at all, which is a problem. But they do snuggle. The next day, it's a clan meeting, and Nesrin explains everything to the clans. Sartak is like, the choice is yours, whether you fly with us northward to fight the demons or you stay here. Nesrin, Falcon, and Sartak leave the clans to decide, and during this moment, Nesrin tells Falcon about Lysandra, and he cries. Nesrin asks him to come with them northward to see Lysandra, and he says yes.
Oh.
The clans have then made their decision, but before they can get back to the meeting, a message arrives, and it's the one from Chaol being like, yo, can you please skedaddle back to the capital, because I really need your assistance.
Come and skedaddle quickly, please. Chaol and Irene are now figuring shit out. They're in the year of realizing things. Chaol tells her everything, from Selena to Aelin to Sorsha. They're talking about Irene's theory about how she believes the Valg are a parasite and that she can possibly treat everyone who is infected. So really, because the Valg are the vag, it's like bacterial vaginosis.
Absolutely.
Vagimosis. Like
Vagimosis. It's osmosis in your vag.
In your vag. So she can possibly treat everyone that is affected.
That's a lot of pressure to have on your shoulders.
It's a lot.
Everything is on you. In saying that, though, that has been what is on Aelin's shoulders this entire book, this entire series. So
Exactly.
Yeah, it'd be nice for someone else to take a load off.
They are still confused as to why Erewhon would have waited this long, which, again, we're all a bit confused. We haven't got that information yet. But they start spitting some facts about the ring of immunity. They always thought it was Marla who created the ring, but what if it wasn't Marla? What if it was Silba? Okay, interesting plot twist. Not really. I didn't really care too much about this. I'm like, okay, so healers could potentially kill demons. Cool. I didn't need the whole like owls are a symbol for this and the ring was crafted by this. Yeah. Look, it didn't do the whole lot for me, but that's fine. They're about to go and find Hafiza to ask her more questions when Huzzah comes in. She's like, well, surprise, it's me. Grandmummy, it's me, Anastasia. It's a moment.
You did it! I'm so proud of you.
I did it. It's my first one. Aelin and Maeve have fought, and we've got some news. So to summarise this chapter, Huzzah basically explains the entire fight in Empire of Storms to Chaol, but misses out the main part where Aelin got captured. So the spies obviously saw Aelin, aka Lysandra, leaving at the end. Everyone thinks she's A-OK. Obviously that is not the case. Huzzah then tells them that Aelin brought in her debts from Wendelin, the silent assassins of the Red Desert, and everyone turns out they like her. And it's like, this is surprising information. People like Aelin.
She's actually really likeable.
Wow.
Wow. Owen Wilson. Wow.
We have a quote, which is what Irene whispered. Huzzah shrugged. I assume it's what she tried to sell to me when she wrote me a message weeks ago asking for my aid. From one princess to another, Chaol took a shuddering breath as if he'd just ejaculated. What did Aelin promise you? Huzzah smiled to herself. A better world.
Oh my god, that fucking quote.
Oh, a better world.
A better world.
See, Darrow?
See? You fucking old cunt. Anyway, so they're running up the stairs of the Torre to get to Hafiza, but her workroom is empty, ? No one can find her. Why is it
Full stop. When Irene goes to her bedroom,
Oh, fuck. Oh, God. When Irene goes down to her bedroom, she sees the iron key and she sees that it's been slid under her door and knows that something is very wrong. They think of all the exits and the only one that no one would notice is the tunnels beneath the library, which I don't know if we really touched on that previously, but there are some.
There's tunnels.
Of course, there's fucking tunnels underneath the library. When isn't there fucking tunnels underneath the library?
It's the one job of a library to have tunnels. Fuck the books.
But they run into the library and ask the head librarian where the tunnels are. She's confused and worried, but doesn't know what the fuck is going on. But she still tells them. She's like, all right, geez, I'll tell you what you need to know, whatever. They run. Yes, run. He is running with his pogo stick towards the tunnels.
It's so exciting.
Chaol knows it's a trap. But what they don't expect is Duvet, the duvet, the baby princess with the baby in her womb. We're all shook.
Yikes.
She is, in fact, a Valg.
Duvet is like, surprise, grandmummy, it's me, Anastasia. I have actually been the villain this entire time.
That shook me. I did not see
I was like, where is the preggers one?
I thought it was going to be the Empress, the mama.
Yeah.
She's just not in the book, so I was like, it's her.
No, she's like, fuck the kids. I'm actually pro-life because I don't care once you're out of my womb.
Pretty much,
yeah.
Duvet explains that Erewhon found a way to hide a word stone in the wedding band that Duvet is wearing. Duvet killed the youngest princess, Princess Turmeric, by pushing her off a balcony, which is big yikes. And they've come for Irene because of the force she holds. Hope. She is the hope they need to defeat Erewhon. And Duvet is like, okay, it's time to die. Duvet is holding Hafiza hostage the entire time. Yes. Hafiza goes, actually, I don't like Duvet's plan to, kill everyone, so I'm going to yeet myself onto the pregnant woman, chair, gag, and baby and all, and they go tumbling down the stairs. Hafiza's like, this is actually a very old school type of plan B, pushing you down the stairs.
Oh my fucking god!
She didn't have a coat hanger handy, so...
Oh my god! Really far along!
Where's the library?
So Chaol and Irene end up running for Hafiza, and she is struggling. Chaol stands up to fend off Duvet while Irene and Hafiza run. But Irene can't leave him because remember, it's been 47 days and they are in love.
For fuck's sake!
And when Duvet shoots her darkness at him and he uses like a little mirror to deflect it, which clever move. Okay, Chaol. She goes shooting backwards and he's really scared because he's like, well, fuck, I just probably killed that baby. And it's like, I think Hafiza would have done a good job of that before you, Chaol. but
Yeah, she
That's
just yeeted
okay.
her down the stairs.
But then
Yeah.
Irene is still there and she turns Duvet over and Duvet is smiling at her. Has anyone seen the
That
trailer?
Smile movie?
Yeah, no
Ew.
thanks. That's Duvet right now.
Yeah.
Fucking creepy. If I saw that,
So
I would have
creepy.
taken that broken
I'd be
ass
like,
mirror.
no, back over you go.
Yeah, slam that in your face. Duvet then launches her power at Irene, but before it can make impact, Chaol pushes her out of the way and takes the full force into his back.
Agony, pure agony is what Chaol is experiencing right now, and he's so stressed, and Duvet is like, oh, that sucks, but I'm going to break your spine once more. Yikes. Irene is sobbing, but Chaol is yelling at her to run. Instead, Irene picks up Chaol's sword and throws it at Duvet and then runs. That's not how you use a sword. You actually hold it and you swing. You don't just throw it. She's like, isn't this how it works? Doesn't it come back? No.
It's not a boomerang.
So Irene and Duvet then just take a moment and play chasey for a bit, but Duvet eventually catches her. And just as they're finished playing on the playground and Duvet's about to kill Chaol, Irene uses the move.
Are you killing me?
Irene uses the move, which she learnt from that stranger in Inish, and stomps on the princess's foot, pushes her elbow, and then slams her elbow into Duvet's face. She runs to Chaol as the princess is knocked out, and then Hafiza is there. The other healers are Nesrin and Sartak. Irene is crying with Chaol's head in her lap, trying to save him and to heal him. She's sobbing, and then she hears a voice in her mind. The voice says, the damage is too great. There must be a cost if it is to be repaired. There must be a cost. And Irene says, I will pay it. Then the voice says, a daughter of Fenharrow will pay the debt for a son of Ardalan, and Irene says yes.
Stupid girl, you don't know the terms of the agreement yet.
But
But she did it,
beautiful.
and Nesrin watches on in shock as the healers, one by one, lay hands on Irene's shoulders and on each other's
They just-
shoulders.
lay hands.
They just throw hands. It's not too late to mosh. We get
Duvet's
this quote.
unborn fetus is like, it's buzzing
Oh my-
in the corner.
Something unborn fetus muzzing. Oh my god. Oh my god. The quote we get is, those loving phantom hands brushed her cheek again and faded away. The other said, I chose well. You shall pay the debt, Irene Towers, and I hope you shall see it for what it truly is. Chaol is revived, and he isn't fully healed, but he's alive.
I just still can't get over the unborn fetus muzzing.
Irene and Chaol kiss, and the scars that once ran down his cheek are also gone. Oh my god. It was me with the fucking Chaol whale, and now
Every time I look at Ellie, and Ellie does this thing where, like, when she doesn't want to laugh, she's like, and I just can't. I'm already trying not to laugh, and then Ellie's making me laugh.
it's the
so
blind
she's-
lead and the blind here.
I'm being silent.
When you be silent, you make me laugh.
I'm sorry, I'll stop talking then.
We then get a lesbian moment that is very exciting for me, which is Eretea. Is it Eretea? Eretia? Either way, the healer spelt Eretia. Eretia clucked over the elderly woman, chiding her for such heroics, but even as she did, the woman's eyes were bright with tears, perhaps more, as Hafiza brushed a thumb over Eretia's cheek. Lesbians. I love it.
Oh.
I don't know what I just did then. I look like a demon.
So unfortunately now we learn of what that cost was that Irene just paid willy-nilly. It was that their lives are now tethered to one another, and only when Irene's magic is at its most powerful, her magic will basically act as like a brace for Chaol's legs. And when her power falters, he will be back in the chair or on using a cane or whatever.
Yeah.
God, the petty bitch I am, I would just be like, oops, sorry, spent all my power. Looks like you're
Get
going
back in
out
the chair.
wheeling today. Hope you didn't have
In
any
the chair.
important plans.
But Irene is very upset by this, the fact that she can't like fully heal him again. But Chaol was fine with this, and he says that the chair or the cane, it's not a prison. And we get this moment where Irene says, I wanted to heal you. And Chaol says, you did, Irene. In every way that truly matters, you did. Oh,
I'm really proud of his character development.
yeah. And we follow that straight up with, using the chair is not a punishment. It's not a prison, he said. It never was. And I am as much of a man in that chair or with that cane as I am standing on my feet. But yeah, so basically they are going to die together.
Nezrin and Chaol look at each other and they have like a silent telepathic conversation because remember, this is the first time they've seen each other since Nezrin was like, I can get a better dick. Nezrin is happy with Sartak and he is happy with Irene. Great, we're all happy. It's been 47 days. We've all found new partners. We're moving on. So they go to the Kargan's quarters and assemble all of like the viziers. And the prince and princesses, everyone is shocked to see Duva. Sartak starts telling them everything that's just happened. Argan, the hair oil, is like, no, I don't believe you. But they all stand up and the healer on high stands up and she's like, so you were not there. Let me tell you, your little sister is infected with black demon semen. It's not good.
It takes the best of us. Everyone needs a good demon dick at some stage, and some people just, they want to take it further.
Yeah, exactly right. So Nezrin then tells them of like all of the spiders like rising, which is terrifying. And the Kargan simply asks Irene to heal his daughter. And then the discussion will take place after that. And it's like, actually, I'm going to use her as my bargaining tool, sir.
My interpretation of that scene was that that's what the Kargan was saying, is like, if you fix Duva, then it's on. But no Duva, no war.
True. So then everything's just going off now. So Irene dives in. She's fighting the darkness. She's all up in that semen. She goes into the body of Duva and she's peeling back and she sees the original form of the vow, which is just like a tiny little ugly baby demon. And it tells her that it isn't
very
a prince, but a princess.
Voldemort.
It's a baby born.
Like Voldemort definitely Hallows at the train station where you look under the bench and it's just that weird thing and you're like,
oh my god, it is!
That's it.
It's not
That
a
is
baby
it.
born, it's that.
So she says, my sisters will come for Irene soon. Not great. Not good.
not great.
That's not a good time. And then Duva awakens and she's like coughing up all of the black semen. So
Yeah,
that's the
she did not
reference.
swallow it, thank God.
She did not. She's not a swallower.
She's
Spit
a
that shit
spitter.
out. Then the Kargan falls to his knees in the semen before his daughter and hugs her. It's beautiful. The Kargan tells Irene that she can have whatever she wants. So she's like, just a tiny favour. All of
Go
your
to war.
army.
Cut to Chaol, and Irene and Nesrin and Chaol and Sartak go to the rooms and they're discussing everything that they've learned about Maeve, the healers, the veiled princesses, everything. Sartak mentions that he has brought 1,000 Rook Riders to come northward to fight in the war. Hussar then enters the room and says that for Duva, she will fight for them and bring as many ships as she can. When Chaol almost says, like, so you'll protect your sister from everything else, but what about, like, you know, each other killing each other for the throne? We get this moment where Hussar says, not her, all the others, she added with a stark look at Sartak, who nodded grimly, but never Duva. So the siblings have a death pact that they will not kill that particular sister, but everyone else is up for grabs.
Everyone else is
Fair
fair game.
Yeah.
Nezrin is just wandering around. She's like a little lost soul. She's just like, oh, okay. She receives a letter from her uncle and she jumps on her Rook because remember the one that had like the owner that died?
Yay!
She's decided to claim it and they've bonded over their trauma and it's beautiful. So they're together.
Sulky!
I like that name as well. It's very cute. So
Yeah.
they ride on over to her uncle's house and she gets there. Her father bursts through the door of her uncle's house and like her sister and their children, and Nezrin just falls to her knees and weeps, which this made me cry. That was very sweet. I quite like a good reunion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then they all chat and then about a few hours later Sartak and Kadara arrives and like everyone is shook that there's these giant big ass birds on the street. Like this is weird, but
And
we
everyone
like it.
loves Sartak because he's such a babe that they're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
it's our favourite person.
I know. So her father especially is like, this is the best day of my life. And her nieces and nephews are like, can we touch your bird? And they're like trying to pat her. It's quite sweet. And Sartak lets them, which again, he's just an angel baby. And then
Love him.
he asks to walk with Nezrin. And before we get here, might I remind you, 47 days.
Fuck off.
It's been like at least, like for them to travel back
I don't want to hear a peep about it. I'm so into it and I'll
8
fight
weeks.
everyone.
Yeah, 8, maybe 9. Forever and a day. We end up learning that he and his father discussed things. Basically, he said that he would be going to war with or without his father's consent. Sartak goes, he asked me why. And Nesrin says, I hope you told him that the fate of the world might depend on it. Sartak says, I did. But I also told him that the woman I love now plans to head into war, and I intend to follow her. He told me that you were a common born, and that a would-be heir of the Kargan needs to wed a princess or a lady royalty or someone with lands and alliances to offer. I told him that if that was what it took to be chosen as heir, I didn't want it, and I walked out. Nesrin says, "Are you insane?" And Satak says, "I certainly hope not, for the sake of this empire, because my father appointed me heir before I could walk out of the room."
Amazing.
Screaming! I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it, I love it. When Nesrin finds us out, she goes to bow really awkwardly, and he grabs her and says, "Never from you." We get this quote. She trembled at it. What he so freely gave, not the empire and crown, but the life, his heart. And then they finally kiss, and it's so beautiful. I die.
Love it.
Oh. Irene is on the ship traveling northward, and we get a little flashback to her goodbye with Kashin. Now that Satak is heir, he is free to do as he pleases, and he may just come northward too. They agree to stay friends, and Irene thinks they may have changed the pact from never duva to never us, which I hope so
sweet.
too.
We really hope so.
Yeah.
Let's not murder our siblings.
Yeah, probably not. But Irene is on her way home.
Beautiful. Chaol is very happy. He's on a boat. He's on a boat, motherfucker. They're traveling back home. And we find out they got married again. Another wedding we did not see. I don't know how many that is now, but
I know.
I'm not okay. I'm really angry about it, actually.
So she is now Lady Westfall, which is beautiful. He's excited because Hussar gave him Butterfly, the demon fucked up horse, which we love, as a gift for their wedding, which is a good gift. And he can't wait to run over all of the Valg soldiers on a horse named Butterfly, which...
Amazing.
Sweet irony. Quite love it.
Beautiful.
Irene then wonders if she can get rid of her note now. Remember when she was fiddling with herself, but it was actually the note? She's like, I wonder if I can get rid of it now because I found my way home. And Chaol's like, well, can I read it first? And he looks at it and his world stops. And now I'd like to do a little bit of a role play here.
Okay.
So, Bryony, I'd like you to be Irene.
Okay.
And Georgia, I don't know if Chaol speaks. I think it's just his internal monologue. You can be his internal monologue and I'll just watch. Go.
Oh, God. Why?
Okay.
Quiet. Chaol glanced to Irene, smiling serenely at the sea, then to the note, to the handwriting he knew as well as his own. Irene went still at the tears he could not stop from sliding down his face.
What's wrong?
She would have been 16, nearly 17 then, and if she had been an Inish, it would have been on her way to the Red Desert to train with the silent assassins. The bruises Irene had described, the beating Erebin Hamel had given her as punishment for freeing Rolf's slaves and wrecking Skull's Bay.
Chaol?
For wherever you need to go, and then some. The world needs more healers. There, in her handwriting. Chaol looked up at last, blinking away tears as he scanned his wife's face. Every beautiful line, those golden eyes, a gift from a queen who had seen another woman in hell and thought to reach back a hand, with no thought of it ever being returned. A moment of kindness, a tug on a thread, and even Aelin could not have known that in saving a barmaid from those mercenaries, in teaching her to defend herself, in giving her that gold and this note, even Aelin could not have known or dreamed or guessed how that moment of kindness would be answered, not just by a healer blessed by Silba herself, capable of wiping the Valg away, but by 300 healers who had come with her. The 300 healers from the Torre, now spread across 1,000 ships of the Kargan himself, screaming, crying, vomiting.
And scene. Yeah, look, beautiful.
I don't know why I was the one that got the most words when I can't speak English. I'm borderline fucking
I really
stupid.
lucked out there as well.
Yeah.
Chaol.
2 fucking words.
Beautiful work. So he tells Irene to keep the note because someone will want to see it. And she's like, who? He's like, okay, come on inside. Let me tell you a story.
Let me sit you down with a bottle of wine. Let's have a chat. The next chapter is absolutely fucked because it's an epilogue. It's an epilogy and it's called Fireheart.
Epilogy!
So basically our girl's not doing very well. She's struggling. They've covered her in iron and she's being
By our
held.
girl.
We
By our
obviously
girl is
mean
Aelin.
Aelin.
Yeah.
Obviously, Fireheart is the name of the epilogy. It is just our girl, Fireheart. She's being held on a leash by the Queen's Huntsman, aka Cairns, the city in Queensland. And Maeve is there and she's like, well, let us begin, shall we? And scene. That's it. That's the end of the
Done.
fucking book. So get ready for that.
Ellie, do we have a song reference?
Yeah, look, we don't this week. A, because I'm tired, and B, because I just couldn't find one. So, listeners, it's Listener's Choice Week. Send us your recommendations for music references that go with this book, please.
Okay, I have a lot of fan art, and I'm sorry, but I'm also not. So first up, we have Irene by Diana D. Warrack. She's looking great. She's in her purple. She's got her curly hair. We've then got Irene and Chaol by Arts of K. We've then got a whole bunch of really sweet scenes of Irene and Chaol by MEABHUSD, which again, their page for some reason doesn't have their art on their personal page, but they get tagged and stuff they do for commission. So it's a weird loop and dupe to get it, but we get there. It's like Chaol and Irene in bed, and then Chaol in the chair and Irene sitting in his lap like a little cutie. We've got virtual_bunny, who's done like an anime style Irene and Chaol and crying. Very cute. We've then got Morgana Zero Anagram, who has done a Nesrin, a Vorte, and a Sartak. Phenomenal.
Ooh.
We've then got by Ars28 a version of Nesrin and Sartak on their Rook flying. Nesrin's shooting her bow. Sartak's got a cool spear. They're just vibing. And this same artist, Ars28, has done one of my favourite things of Nesrin and Sartak, which is like Nesrin kind of like looking over his shoulder. We've then got Tara TJAH, which is Nesrin and her Rook, Salki, which is very, very cute. They're having a like cute little forehead moment. And then we've got Melon Draws as well, which has done a Chaol and Irene when Chaol's got Irene pressed against the wall.
Cute.
And then we've got by Mono Lime Art, she's done a profile of Nesrin and Sartak. And I just think they both look hot as fuck in that. So take that as you will. So obviously next up we've got Kingdom of Ash, our last book for the year of the A Book and a Bev podcast. We're going to change up our format slightly because it is such a big book, and it's also just like the end of our first year podcasting. Yay! So we're going to change our format up slightly. Kingdom of Ash is going to come to you in 4 parts.
I think so, yeah.
And there is most likely going to be at least one musical reference and some fan art with each part. So we'll be able to kind of walk you through that.
Well, thank you everyone for listening in for another week. We hope you've enjoyed the chaos that is us covering Tower of Dawn. Stay with us next week for part 1 of Kingdom of Ash, where things will probably get a hell of a lot more chaotic.
Absolutely. Likely.
So we love you all. Listen to us on, well, where you're listening right now. We're on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all the places. And we'll see you next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.